This is it, the ALC Sidelines Podcast season preview for 2026 right here for you on the YouTube, the Spotify, wherever you're getting your podcast. I'm Dan Zumpano here joining you guys, and joining us today we have a very, very special guest. I mean, what better way to introduce the 2026 season preview show than to do it from a national scale? And the biggest social media platform in club lacrosse belongs to the boys at Varsity Club Lacrosse. They are here. We have the man behind the Tom Selleck picture and the cowboy hat here with us. Andrew Golden is going to join us in just a minute to preview the ALC. We're going to get a chance to talk to him about some teams of interest. We're going to talk about some players to watch, kind of say goodbye to last year. And, last year was such a great year for the ALC. You had so many teams make the tournament. You had a national championship. We're going to say goodbye to that and really look forward to 2026, what we think might happen. And then at the end, big reveal. I'm going to reveal my personal top 20 rankings in the MCLA this year. ALC goes national right here on the ALC Sports Network. Remember to like and subscribe on this YouTube channel, like all our socials on Instagram and on X. Please do that. We appreciate it so much for you guys watching. Let's not beat around the bush. Let's get right to them. This is Varsity Club Lacrosse meets the ALC Sidelines Podcast. All right, we are here with the man behind the Tom Selleck picture. Andrew Golden from Varsity Club Lacrosse is here. I think a lot of people are probably looking at this and saying, this is the guy, this is Andrew. And I think it's very exciting to see what's behind the mask. So it's kind of like a Wizard of Oz moment here. I know you've been on other, big channels like Mitchell Pelkey and other things like that, but this is a very big treat for our audience here. So we thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, it's awesome. So just for people that don't know, what do you do?
So, besides running Varsity Club Lacrosse, I also run the Southern Men's Lacrosse League, a new up-and-coming club league outside the MCLA. Definitely be sure to check us out. We got 11 teams this year. Championship will be April in Huntsville. Then I also work as a civil engineer.
So you have no time on your hands, pretty much. You're just running a men's lacrosse league, being a civil engineer, and you're running probably the most recognizable Instagram account / X account in club lacrosse today. So how did you get started? And how did this all lead to you now having a really probably decently lucrative account?
Yeah, so I started the account with one of my teammates, Tommy. We're just seeing a bunch of tweets talking about the MCLA and kind of thought we could provide more info or clarity. A lot of people just didn't really know what the league was or, really what was going on. Just a lot of misconceptions. And so we made the account to just kind of get more info out and just kind of tweet about the league because we were playing in it and we loved playing in it, and just kept growing, starting an Instagram, and just still doing it today.
Yeah. How much do you truly follow? Do you follow every club league, or is it do you follow one more than the other? Do you feel and now you're running one? So how do you gauge in what you're going to put out there?
So we definitely receive a lot of DMs with people just telling us info and stats, and that's all pretty helpful. So I appreciate everyone that DMs us info, and so yeah, that takes kind of a load off us that we don't have to really follow every league closely when people can just come to us and tell us. But definitely like to give every league a spotlight and talk about every league. But definitely follow the MCLA the most.
Well, I was going to say, if you played at Purdue. So, I imagine the MCLA is near and dear to you, and this is kind of like a crazy thing that has ended up happening. But, today we really want to highlight the ALC and the teams in the ALC and talk about them more on a national scale. We'll hit mostly Division I. We'll do a little Division II talk as well. But as far as the Division I goes, just a crazy year. You've had these kind of big storylines from last year. Obviously, Liberty being the biggest of them all, going 19-1, winning 19 in a row, Player of the Year, national championship. That was a huge story, but there was also other like kind of side quests, I guess. Like Tennessee has become a resurgent program over the last couple of years, and the whole controversy with Virginia Tech missing out on the MCLA tournament, and James Madison has been a good team. Clemson's made a run at the Final Four. Virginia Tech in the finals a couple years ago. This is not a old league. Like, this is kind of a new league that spawned from the SCLC. So how did you think you would view this league being so young on a national scale compared to the rest of the MCLA?
I mean, it definitely is pretty impressive that it just kind of started out of nowhere and was able to grow into a multiple bid tournament league. Definitely compared with leagues like the RMLC and SLC, where those teams have been around for a while and have been good for a while too. So I mean, it definitely is cool to see just the league just kind of grow that fast.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I mean, I think it's definitely now created a vibe of, and what we're trying to do here, obviously, is to professionalize it a little bit more, with the media outlet that we're trying to do here, and we're glad to have you on, definitely. And what are you kind of looking at though this year? Like, we kind of are saying goodbye to last year with a lot of the big highlights and transfers. And last year was such a crazy year with the way transfers came into this league, and the big names and all over the country, not just in the ALC. But this year in particular, we just had a poll come out that had Tennessee at the top, which was a very surprising thing to some people. We, Liberty coming off that national championship, losing a bunch of guys, Virginia Tech coming back. I mean, what is the big highlight thing you're looking forward to in this conference, at least?
I think probably Tennessee. It seems like past 2 or 3 years they've really stepped up, and each year have just continued to improve. And I think that trend continues this year. Looks like they got a ton of good transfers coming in, and a ton of guys returning that were good last year. So I think they're just gonna keep building on what they've got past couple of years.
Is there any team maybe that you think would surprise anybody this year? I mean, just kind of going through the notions. Obviously, last year we didn't really see anybody come crazy out of the ranks. I think James Madison probably was kind of got to championship weekend in the ALC tournament, and then Clemson pulling a big upset on Virginia Tech. I mean, I know West Virginia is always in it for the ALC as well, and maybe some new blood too behind them. But is there anybody that you may see as like a surprise team and going 2026?
I'd say Clemson. I know a couple of years ago when they had all those Furman transfers, they were good, but they were all seniors, and so following year it was a tough one because it was a young team. But looks like now all those guys are seniors and juniors now, and they've been playing together for this long, and I think that's going to be huge for them.
Yeah, we had them on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, and they seem really confident. I feel like every coach that I talk to around the country has said, you might want to watch out for Clemson because they have a ton of guys coming back, and it actually heard that last year too, and it didn't fully ferment itself until the end of the year. But this year, I think a lot of people are watching out for them. What about at the top? I think a lot of teams looking at Tennessee, obviously, like you said, but Liberty, Virginia Tech, they're all going to be in the running for this too. How do you view those teams?
Well, Liberty, they're obviously can't be as good as last year just because of all those great players they lost, and it's tough to match what they did last year. But I think they'll be up there because they always have good guys coming in. They got good guys returning, and they've just had that consistency year after year. So I think they drop off a little, but it's not like they're really going anywhere. And Virginia Tech, kind of same thing, just consistent year after year, pretty decent. And I think this year they got, I know Ashley's returning and a lot of other good guys returning, and didn't lose too much. So I think they'll stay pretty high at the top too.
Yeah, no question about that. I think so too. It sounds like Alex Ashley is one of the players that you're looking out for. Maybe, I mean, we saw USA Lacrosse magazine put out a preseason All Americans post, and he made that team. So that was a big up for Virginia Tech being on the preseason All American team. And are there any other players that kind of stick out to you that you noticed from years past, or maybe transfers or whoever that may shake up the ALC this year?
Well, I think Way too with Virginia Tech will be
Yeah.
good, and then pretty interesting. All the guys they brought up from the D2 team, and they won it last year, right? The D2 championship.
They upset Charlotte, but they did lost in the Wake Forest to Wake Forest in the final. So
Yeah, I think that'll be pretty big for them. That's interesting that they have a D2 team and now those D2 guys are playing on the D1 team. I think that'll be pretty helpful.
yeah, Virginia Tech always seems to the way they've structured their program is fascinating. I think there's really I've only really heard of one other case where teams had a D1 and D2 team. So I think it's super fascinating, and I think you're right on you're spot on with Clemson and the amount of guys that they have coming back. I mean, especially guys that, if you look at that roster, they have a ton of guys that I feel like played, but also like were super young last year, and guys that, they got like Landon Snyder coming back. And I think Aiden McNulty, who a lot of people aren't talking about, is one guy that I think you look out for. Holden Morrison, and then they got some D1 guys coming in. They do lose a couple of dudes, but I think this team is ready defensively. I loved what I heard when we talked to Adam Neal and Luke Romano. They just feel like loaded. I think the one question with them I would be, how are they going to replace this goaltender Hennessy? I mean, he was the best goalie in the conference last year, and I think that might hamper them a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, it does always kind of seem like within the MCLA, a goalie's a pretty huge part. Team losing a good goalie can it definitely seems like they have a drop off the following year.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let's talk D2 real quick. I mean, again, we don't have a ton on the D2 just because the rosters are a little bit different. Wake Forest, kind of the surprise champion there in that conference last year. Charlotte lost it, 3-time defending champion and didn't even make it out of the semifinal. Big upset with Virginia Tech. UNCW, I mean, had a great year last year, and I think a lot of people are looking forward to them this year. Is there any team in your mind that you say, okay, I think this is a team that I would probably watch out for?
Yeah, I guess besides the one you named, Coastal Carolina and App State, it
Yeah.
seems like last year didn't had a lot of close games that they didn't win, but I think they can build on that and have those close games this year, maybe go the other way.
You think that might be the surprise of the year this year, is one of those two teams coming back and making a resurgence?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I talked to some coaches that were at the beach brawl in Wilmington this year, and there were a couple of little nuggets like we got out of, and a lot of it was, okay, like, a lot of the big boys are still going to be good, but the team that everybody kept going forward and the most dangerous team was UNCW. Everybody's been talking about UNCW being this big powerhouse team that is going to add a lot more. They had a lot of transfers. this year. Also got some nuggets about ECU, East Carolina, and them also being like super scrappy and they could make some noise. I was a former D1 team. A lot of guys lost though last year, like Tyler Nichols from Charlotte, gone. Jack Church, the goaltender from Wake Forest, gone. But I don't know. Doesn't that feel like it feels like the D2 side is more wide open?
Yeah, I'd say so. It could kind of be anyone. It definitely seemed like in years past, it was just going to be Charlotte no matter what. But I don't think that's the case this year. I think it could be anyone.
No question about it. As far as the ALC against the rest of the country, what is going to be the biggest challenge for this conference in not only getting bids, but, not just Liberty defending their national title? I mean, the conference wants to defend a national title too, no matter who wins it. I'm sure none of the coaches would say that, but they all want to win it themselves, sure. But, as far as the rest of the country is concerned, who are going to be the biggest barriers to the ALC getting another national title?
Getting another national title?
Mm-hmm.
Let me look at the top 10 again. I think Utah Valley and BYU are for sure the top two. I think those two teams will, at least be Final Four teams for sure. And even the whole RMLC will be good like they are each year. So I think those two teams are probably the biggest barriers.
Is there any team maybe that you're looking at and saying like, oh, that could be a team that, makes a big jump? I know Florida. I mean, me personally, I had Florida from the get-go, and I think a lot of people undersold the idea of Dylan Hess going there, and they end up going, obviously, all the way to the Final Four, and Hess is now one of the best players in the PLL. But is there a team like that you feel like could make a big jump to?
I think South Carolina.
Yeah.
I guess they didn't make the tournament last year, but I think they make it this year. And just looking at the guys they're bringing back and looking at all the transfers they're bringing in as well, I think they'll definitely get back to where they were a couple of years ago when they were winning national championships.
Saw the USA Lacrosse Magazine top 10 or top 20 poll, right? And that comes out. What did you think of it? Did you think of anybody getting like snubbed? Did you think anybody was too high, too low? Like, what was your thoughts?
I think it was pretty good. I know it's always tough to tell with the preseason poll, but nothing really stood out as being like anyone being too high or too low or anyone getting left out. I think maybe one team that got left out would be Boise State. They won their conference last year, and I think it was like the second time in like 3 or 4 years. It kind of seems like people are sleeping on them a little bit. I think they'll be just as good as last year. Yeah,
big loss losing Colton Altimus there, but they definitely could. I mean that PNCLL, man, it's just it feels like them, Oregon, Simon Fraser, just always a tough go. So that's going to be super interesting. You mind like sticking around and let me reveal my top 20 here?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so I just wanted to say I always am interested in what you think. So this is for our audience. This is I do this based on just kind of like a grading scale. I've talked to 35 coaches around the country over the off season, seeing what they got, seeing who's where, who's what, who's got transfers, who's got returning players. The freshmen, I mean, I'm super excited to see some of these freshmen too make impact. So without further ado, I'm just going to rattle off. We'll just go and start like 20 to 15 and just see where we're at there. So me, number 20, this team has been good the last couple of years. And I've loved this team because they're from my hometown area. But I think Northeastern has lost a lot of players off of their team. They're losing Chris Wilk, losing Wynton Bastion, and then obviously above all, losing Sam Bellamy at goaltender. I think that's going to be a big hit for them. They still have some good players back like Patty Judge and others, and they've got some D1 transfers coming in. But I don't know. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a step back for the Sled Dogs this year. Northeastern's going to be my number 20 team. My 2019 is Arizona. I think Arizona has a really good shot to take a big leap this year in the MCLA. Out in the SLC, they obviously their kind of big prize acquisition is Jackson Boop coming over as a deep hole, and they have a lot of deep holes coming back. But I think they have a lot more depth this year than they have had in years past. So I'm going to put Arizona up there at number 19. Number 18, I like BC, man. Boston College. I know that they haven't really had a great couple of seasons, but they've been right there, and they have this huge senior class, a big senior class coming in at Chestnut Hill. I really, really am excited to see. I think they're going to win the CLC, if I'm being honest. I really do. I think they've got, and again, they bring in some D1 guys, a couple of Holy Cross guys, UMass Lowell dudes. They've got some really nice schools represented from their freshmen, but they just are full of seniors, and I like that continuity of those guys. So props to BC. Coming in at number 17, UCSB. UCSB is kind of a weird team to me. I was shocked last year that they won their conference. But Colin McGrath and Grady Ward, I mean, Colin McGrath is one of the best deep holes in the country. And then Grady Ward, I think, is a little water bug midfielder / attackman that could cause a lot of teams problems. So they're going to be top heavy. I do wonder about their depth, but their coach is so good. I love UCSB's coaching every single year. And then at 16, I'm going to go Florida State. Team likes to run a lot. Florida State has, they have Jack Schiffel back at LSM, but I always thought they were fun to watch because they just like to shoot and they like to run. Tyler Morris, Dean Rothschild, guys like that, all back. So that's kind of my 20 through 16 there for you. I mean, I don't know if you have any reaction to that.
Yeah, I mean, I trust your opinion more than anyone's. I know how much research and everything you do, but yeah, I agree with all that. I like the BC pick. I think continuity is probably one of the biggest things that help out with MCLA teams. It's tough, bringing in all new guys to a club team and trying to win. I think, having the big senior class and having guys who have been around for a while is pretty huge, and BC's got that.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I just think that team is ready. That team is ready to take another leap and finally get over Northeastern, dethrone them. I'm gonna go to 15. Like we talked about, Clemson. I mean, I think they're ready to also take that next leap. We just talked about how much depth they have, and depth. I just think that is the number one key to winning here in this league. I do worry about the goaltender position, but everywhere else I feel really confident. I think they could win this conference. I really do. I think they're that good. They're going to have a tough go of it, but Clemson has all the firepower to do it. 14, it was hard to gauge where I wanted to put Florida, but this kind of felt like the right area just because they lost so many guys and so many big players, not just Hess. Obviously, that's a monster, but, like Kobe Kudla was such a good deep hole for them last year. And then they lost other guys too. They have this great sophomore deep hole named Matt Shannon that I talked to Garrett Hannerham before he left last year. And he says this kid is really ready to take the next step. He's going to be one of the best players in the country next year. So I'm excited to see how he does. And they have I Am Surrey back in goaltenders. So they still have a lot of talent. And they're bringing in some dudes. They're bringing in big names. The Tufts transfers coming in at midfield. They've got a kid from Denver at the faceoff dot. They're going to be solid. So, I'm not going to sleep on them, but I definitely am not sure if they're Final Four capable, but I think they should be good. 13, I'm going Chapman. Again, this is another team that needs a rebound year, right? I mean, they just had a rough year last year. But this year, I think they brought in so many guys for, again, depth purposes, a lot of transfers. Nico Orsino back. I love Rocco Reginelli. I think he's a good player. And then, I don't know if you saw this kid play. Ryan Shugart in goaltender. He was a freshman last year. He was excellent for them. He was really, really good. So I'm really excited to see how Chaptown comes back. 11 is Arizona State. Again, we know how Arizona State runs. They have maybe one of the best deep holes and D lines in the country. Aiden Cox leading that. Murakami is on there. They have new coach this year as well, so new things going on in both Arizona schools. I'm looking forward to them. And yeah, they're they're actually number 11. I skipped over one team. So 12, I'll go back to 12 really quick, is Colorado State, my first RMLC team. And they're going to lose Cale Kissel off this team. But again, they bring in D1 transfers as well, more depth, and a lot of freshmen, big freshman class that they feel like are going to play. And I like their coach. I like Coach McDonald a lot. I've gotten a chance to talk to him. I think he's got the right vibe and the right mindset for this team. It's a team that really wants to get back to the MCLA tournament. So just a close reaction. Any teams that stand out to you there in the top 15?
Yeah, I know Chapman definitely had a down year last year, but I think they're a team that can always bounce back, even if they have years like that. And just bringing in a ton of transfers is going to be huge.
Yeah, no doubt about it. The depth is definitely there for them. All right, top 10. Here we go, folks. Number 10. I'm going San Diego State. I know they got a top 5 ranking from USA Lacrosse, and they could be really, really talented. I question the depth a little bit. I am interested to see that. I like Finn Shield a lot. He's a good midfielder for them. But this team is always so gritty. I feel like they're getting every ground ball. They have their entire attack line really coming back. We know they were really good 2 years ago, and when they had that great attack line, and they gave BYU a great win or a great run in the MCAA tournament before BYU ended up winning the national tournament. So San Diego State, always a power. I probably have them up at number 10. Number 9, I'm going Colorado, because I just think Colorado, again, we talk about goalie, but I'm all in on face-off too. And this Koligowski kid, Mike Koligowski, I mean, this kid is incredible. I love Mike Koligowski at the face-off dot. He gave BYU so many fits last year, ended up getting a chance to beat them last year. And I think they have the right formula this year with, they've got guys like Cooper Penoyer coming back, who I really like. Just some other dudes as well. Craig Nam, Xander Gardner. I think they have some, again, D1 talent. They bring in the Denver transfer, Queens transfer at the midfield as well. Villanova transfer at LSM, Connor Nesbitt. I'm looking forward to seeing how he does. They got a lot of talent coming in, transferring into Boulder. So I'm excited about that. This one is interesting. I think I'm going to surprise some people with these next two, but I'll put Georgia Tech at number 8. I know they're the defending runner-ups, but it's very hard to replace. Just like Liberty is going to be replacing most of their guys, they're losing Barrow, they're losing Rose, and on top of that, they're also losing Pierce Quarles. So they're losing their best 3 offensive players. And that's going to be hard to replace. But they typically do have guys in the pipeline. Andrew Belly will do that. Matt Seifert will do that. And then talk about face-off. I remember talking to Caleb Hammett last year, the Drip King, and he said to me the best face-off guy in the country last year, that gave him the most fits, was Charlie Cardullo, who transferred in from Denver last year. And Charlie whooped him in the national championship game, if you remember that game. So I think having that weapon on the field, probably the best face-off guy in the country, that's really going to give Georgia Tech a leg up. And they have a ton of defenders coming back, too, and a couple of goalies to mix and match. Number 7, I'm going to put Liberty at number 7. I know that might, again, shock some people, but I need to see it, because it wasn't just Mose and Landry and Giltonen and the Drip King and all those guys. Outside of all those guys leaving, they had a lot of guys leave in the fall. And I am really interested to see where this leadership comes from. I know Luke Branham is still there on the offensive end. They got this kid, Easton Cahill, that I think is going to be really, really good. That is solid. All the depth that they had last year now has to play, and there are a lot of young guys. They can't rely on the player of the year or Landry or any of those guys anymore. So I just got to see it from them. Goaltender I think is going to be interesting. Face off, how are they going to replace that? They have a lot of questions. And then at 6, I'm going to put Virginia Tech right ahead of them. They played in the fall. Really good game. Came down to the wire, as usual. Virginia Tech snuck it out by 1. But Alex Ashley was the killer last year. This is the only team to beat Liberty last year. Alex Ashley had his way with that team. It was the first game of the year, so it is what it is. But I think the defense, like you said, Cal Ware, great player. Christian Edwards, I think, has a chance to go All-American this year too. He's super athletic. And again, they run their system so well, and they have great coaching. I mean, Panchito is such a good coach. I think that they're going to really be solid. So that's the first half of the top 10. I know I'm sticking the 2 teams in the national championship in there and a couple other teams. Just some thoughts about that.
Yeah, I think you said Liberty and GT were in the championship last year, but both lost a lot of guys. I think they definitely gotta prove it early, and so I mean, can't say they're top 5 teams yet, but definitely have the potential. So I think 7-8's a good spot to start out at.
Sure. I think so too. Virginia Tech being ahead of them. It was tough out there. I think Colorado's got a great chance, dude. I mean, I think they really brought in a lot of good transfers too in their team. So I'm interested to see what they do too. All right, to the top 5. There's some big names here. Number 5, we're going to start with Tennessee. I do think Tennessee is warranted to be ahead of those teams. They just have everyone coming back. I know the big loss is Mason Kane, and that's going to be an issue, but they have Tommy Guys coming back. They have Max DeMella at the faceoff dot, who's good. Gornick, the goalie, was really good for them last year. All the defenders are back, but the biggest piece coming back to me is Logan Aiello. He missed basically the entire 2025 season, but in 2024, he was just as good as Kane, and they were like, the tandem. And now he's going to be back. If he's anything like he was in 24, Tennessee's going to score a lot of goals. They're going to score a lot of goals this year with him. So I'm looking forward to watching them play. My team that's going to make that jump, my Florida for this year, is South Carolina. I think this is a team looking like I thought you were spotting. You stole my thunder a little bit, Andrew. No lie, but I'm right there with you. I think South Carolina. I am so excited to watch South Carolina this year. I think that they could be maybe the best team in the country. You bring back Nate Wolf off of a crazy freshman campaign, one of the best freshmen in the country. He's already a preseason All-American. Casey Hurley coming back too. But then you've got, Colin Young, Kyle Anthony, a lot of defenders back, coming back like, Nick Perrone. They've got a great freshman class with a bunch of really good kids coming in from New York and New Jersey and a player of the year from Charleston. But then you talk about, and me and you have kind of collabed on this, is the amount of transfers that they have. Zach Hammerschmidt, the D-mid from Dickinson College, I think is really good. They're excited about him. Blake Resnick from Dickinson as well. But the two I'm most excited about are Charlie Van Hook from Salisbury, big, giant, deep hole. And then one that we talked about earlier in the week was Hunter Sanford coming from Rutgers. Really, high prize, pretty decently high prize recruit, I would say, coming over from a really good program at Rutgers. So I think that's going to be a fascinating group. Just before we move on, like your thoughts about South Carolina and maybe Tennessee and a word on that and just those teams and how much they've been able to add.
Yeah, it is pretty impressive, all the guys. I mean, both of them have brought in and also are returning too. Yeah, I think they're definitely both up there. And then looking at South Carolina's schedule now, get off to kind of a late start with February 6th. Start off with Bama, Ole Miss, and UCF, and then Tennessee's on the 15th. So that'll be a huge game to see, and see who's the better of those two. But yeah, after that, definitely got a tough schedule. It seems like in the past couple of years they've played some tough games early and lost, and then had to win a bunch late to to almost not save their season, but just kind of come back from the start. So looks like they kind of have the opposite now, where they can get off to a good start and then head into those good games with some momentum. So I think that could be a difference maker from the past couple of years.
Yeah, no doubt. I think Pete finally learned, like, we can't go 0-5 and then and then get like 8-5. Like that's crazy that they honestly, I was a big advocate for them last year getting in. I thought that they deserved it, but it was crazy the runs they have gone on in the past. So looking for that third natty. Number 3, I'm going Texas. I know that Carl Hartzell left, but Luciano Di Donatis is going to be a really good head coach for them. I think he's going to pick up where Kyle left off. Again, I know Maury Stein was a great player, probably second. He's got the second vote, maybe third vote for Player of the Year last year. I mean, he was excellent for them, but they have a ton coming back too. I mean, I love Jack Eigen. He's already on the preseason All-American list. Luke Skanga, Breck Thielen, I really liked. Their deep holes are very, very good. I mean, Cash Wiley was an excellent player for them last year. Luke Fournier is a big body inside. Jack Tennant, Jackson Bishop transferred from Drexel last year. They've got depth at the goaltender position. They've got Kyan Levine and Jack Monahan. Either one of those kids can play. And then having their faceoff guy back. They didn't have a faceoff guy all year last year. So that was a huge problem for them. I think them coming back and being able to play is going to be big. But I agree with you at the top. I think after that, there's a gap. And the 2 Utah schools are just crazy good. I mean, Utah Valley has been knocking on the door. I actually have Utah Valley at number 2. I know that they have number 1. I have Utah Valley at number 2. I think Blake is back with Blake Yates. He's going to be outstanding. I'm looking forward to seeing Tyson Maury come over from SVU and see how he does. They've still got, Donatelli and other players. They're like have this very quiet. I talk to those guys a lot and players over there and coaches. And they have a very quiet, they don't want to talk to anybody. They're like, we're soldiers this year. Like they feel they have a bone to pick. Like they've been so close the last 2 years. I feel like they're very, very highly motivated. Pat Thomas is going to replace Max Sturgill. That's huge. They have maybe also another really good faceoff guy in Lundin. He's going to be really good for them. But number 1 is BYU. And I hate saying that because I know that they're the blue chip, and I think it's a boring pick maybe, but they are just – Gavin Taylor's going to be up for Player of the Year. I don't think there's a question. Stu Vassow has been there forever, and he's excellent. But again, Hutton Murphy, I'm looking forward to watching him play. They might have the best goaltender in the country. Easton Wilkie is soft mitts, man. He is excellent. And then they add all these transfers. They add Mason Quick from Utah. He's going to be excellent. JP Jones, deep hole from Manhattan. I'm looking forward to watching him play. They got other deep holes coming back. They got to replace some leaving, but I think they feel good about where they're at. And again, the depth is there. Face-off guys, they'll have a couple of the Benyon brothers will be there. That's really where they need to improve. But I think if they get their defense back and rolling, offensively, they're going to be amazing. And I think that's why they're number 1.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with all that. I think BYU and Utah Valley maybe almost interchangeable 1 and 2, but I think both of them are for sure the top 2.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's gonna be interesting to see that group of teams and who's gonna challenge those two, because it feels like those two are just on a collision course every year. And last year, I think they split last year. I think BYU got them in the regular season, and then UVU ended up winning the RMLC. So really fun year. Looking forward to that as well. And looking forward to seeing all the coverage that you get to do. And I appreciate, us collabing a little bit as well and getting a chance to talk about some of the best teams in the country. And I'll just ask you at the end of the day, do you have a team? I'll ask you both. I'll put you on the spot. Do you have a team you feel like is going to come out of the ALC in Division I and Division II?
Like winners for now?
Yeah.
I think I'll go with Tennessee. I think Wake Forest goes back to back.
Repeat. Okay, I like it. Wake Forest, a lot of depth there. I like that. Tennessee. Why Tennessee?
I think just the consistency the past 2 years, it seems like, they've just been getting closer and closer each year, and I think this is the year they finally get it.
Okay. Heard it here first. And Andrew, I got to put you on the spot for one more thing. Go for it, and whatever you want to say, but Dude, who would you pick right now, if you had to win the national championship?
I think I'll go with Utah Valley right now.
Oh, I like it.
I think, bringing a lot of guys back. I think they're still pissed about losing back in 2024. I think they're hungry and they want it this year.
Awesome. Wow, that's awesome. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on here. I mean, this is such you're such an influential person in this world, in this little niche world that we all live in, and we're excited to see. We always get excited when it's amazing. I have coaches that you've put out like polls, like before the polls would come out in March, the coaches poll. You would put out polls, and I'd have coaches saying, "Yeah, we're ranked like 7th in the country." And I'm like, from Varsity Club. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Okay. Like, yeah, we got ranked by Varsity Club 7th in the country. I'm like, oh, that's got to feel good for you. And congratulations on all your success, man.
Appreciate it. And thanks for having me on. Appreciate all the work you do too. It's definitely a lot more detailed than what I do, more in depth. So I think people like that too, more than just the graphics.
Hey, you are the premier place to go. So I appreciate the kind words, and I'm sure we'll collab more on some other things going down the line. So appreciate you, Andrew.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Our big thanks to Andrew Golden from Varsity Club Lacrosse. Check them out on Instagram and X and wherever you get your socials. They are the premier place for club lacrosse around the country. We thank them for stopping by and doing a little season preview for us this year. I'm super excited to see that. Just check that out. They do great content and great work. We have a couple of games to announce. How crazy is that? Like, this is the first time we get to say it's our game of the week for the ALC, and our Division I game of the week takes place Sunday, February 1st in Clemson as the Tigers taking on Tennessee. And by my estimations, that's a top 15 matchup in my book. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Tennessee going on the road. We get our first look at how good is Tennessee? How good is Clemson? Hopefully the dominant color on the field will be orange that day. And I'm not sure. Is Tennessee orange? I guess they're orange, right? Different kind of orange, Hopefully it's not yellow. That we don't want as, flags are, fun sometimes, but not fun when you're in the middle of a choppy game. But I'm excited to see how those two teams go. It's going to be a blast to see them. And then our D2 game of the week, big matchup, Battle of the Tar Heel State, baby. It is the UNC Wilmington Seahawks and the UNC Charlotte 49ers. This is going to be an awesome one. This is going to be a really good one. I expect Division II team to a couple Division II teams that I think will both be ranked in the MCLA coaches poll. I expect those two teams to go at it. It'll be a great battle for both of those teams. Some other big games. That weekend in Clemson is going to be big. Florida comes to town to play Clemson, so that's an out-of-conference game. And Tennessee will play Florida in that same weekend. So Florida and Clemson on the Friday night, January 30th. January 31st, you're going to have that UNC Wilmington, UNC Charlotte game, but we'll also see Tennessee and Florida play that week. And then a couple games on that Sunday, too. High Point and App State. That'll be a big one. Jockeying for position early on. VT and James Madison, the Techsters, going to Harrisonburg to take on the Dukes. That'll be a really fun game. We're very, very excited. So check all those games out. They're on the MCLA website, or mcla.us, if you're looking for the schedules. And, of course, check us out every single week on the ALC Sports Network YouTube channel right here. Like and subscribe. Put the notifications on to get every single video when they come out. Also, check us out on Instagram at Atlantic Lacrosse Conference, on X at Atlantic LC, Spotify. You can listen to us there for the podcast as well. All our guys do such great work. All the people behind the scenes. Our great producer, Andrew Musser, does an amazing job with the editing. We really thank him for all the things we've done. This has been a great offseason, but it's time to play the game. Face off at the dot. Let's go. This has been the ALC Sidelines Podcast. I'm Dan Zumpano. We'll see you in the 2026 season. Let's get rolling, baby. You guys have a great one. We'll see you next time.